Okay, here we go. So today we're talking about points, lines, and planes. On the warm-up, we already went all these concepts. So the very first page, notebooks, we're going to talk about point. Guys, we did this. So we don't really need to write a sentence that describes a point. We got this. We're 8th and 9th graders. So on this part, just draw yourself a point. Nice. Fill it in. But today on the warm-up, I told you, in geometry, we're going to stretch ourselves. Let's start naming those points. Because they're always named with capital what? Perfect, capital letters. I'm going to name this one capital. Okay, so maybe a little hint, but always use capital letters. Good enough. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, a line. So a line, show me with your arms. Can you make a line? Let's see, stretch it out. Oh, stretching. Feels so good. Okay, so lines, remind yourself they go on forever. So draw yourself a line. Make sure the arrows are on the edge because they go on forever. And let's name this line. So put 2 points on there. All right, I'm going to call my points E and F. And let's practice notation too. Do you remember the notation? So take whatever points you put on there, slide them next to each other. So mine were E and F. Put them right next to each other. Above it is the symbol. On the line, guys, shout out, what symbols do you need above that? The arrows, and that tells you it goes on forever in both directions. Good job. So that's our notation. Okay, moving on, we're onto a plane. Plane is tricky. It's kind of hard to think about and draw pictures. Guys, point to the ceiling. And then kind of shrug. The ceiling is kind of a plane. Point to the floor. Kind of a plane. Point to the front wall. Kind of a plane. I'm saying kind of because just like lines, planes go on forever, but it's a big flat surface that goes on forever. Weird, right? Okay, so let's put flat surface that goes on forever. So you've got to think in 2D. And then how do you draw something that goes on forever when it's in 2D? We'll just do our best. Okay, so the ceiling, so it's this flat surface. So let's just say, I'm just going to draw it a little bit sideways. We'll just say that's a plane. Good luck, you just have to remind yourselves they go on forever. Maybe let's put a little point on there. A little point P. P for plane. We'll get more into that later on the notes. Okay, co-linear points. Take your pens and pencils, draw an arrow to this, co, and then put a line under line. I love this word because right in it, if you can break that up, it tells you what it means. Co, I think they coexist. So it's points that coexist on the same line. It's literally points on the same line, okay? So we can write that out. Points on the same line. Okay, we can use our above examples. Okay, so up here, are E and F collinear? Yeah, because they're on the same line. They coexist on the same line. All right, what about E, F, and K? Can we make one line and catch all of those? No, those are not collinear. We can't make one line that catches all of them. Okay, pause. I'm going to stretch you. Are you ready? What about K and E? Are they collinear? Could we make a line that could catch them? Totally. So yes, those could be collinear. So let me grab a different color. So technically, yeah. K and E, if you can make one line that catches both of them, they are collinear. Okay. All right, coplanar, same thing. Take your pens or pencils, draw an arrow to co, underline plane, but we'll think plane. It's points that are on the same plane. Pardon? Points on the same plane. Okay, stretch your necks a little bit, look up at the ceiling. Let's pretend those speckles are points. Yeah, you okay with pretending? Are all of those coplanar? Yeah, they're all on the ceiling. So if you need a picture of that, I know pictures of planes aren't the easiest to understand. You could just put a few points that are on that plane. Maybe K, O, and whatever you'd like to put. Okay, so let me move this. And let's talk about coplanar because it's a little bit tricky. We've got a plane. And let's say we've got a point, how about N, and a point G, and a point off the plane, so maybe like underneath it, point S. Okay, are you ready? Coplanar. Definitely N and G are coplanar. Do you agree with me? Okay, I'm going to say NG and S are coplanar. Are you thinking, what? Okay, it's not this plane though. The plane that I drew on the board, that's not the plane they're on. Could we take a piece of paper and catch S and N and G, but it would have to go up and down? Do you see that? So you can flip the planes, like it would be like a sidewall instead of the ceiling. All right, but I'm going to throw in one more. Could we make a plane that could catch NG, S, and what if there was like a K right there? Do you think we could catch all three of those? Excuse me, all four of those with one plane? One piece of paper catching them? I don't know. That one might be a little bit trickier. We definitely could do 3 at a time, but 4 at a time, we'd have to bend that paper, but planes are always straight. So just think about that. If you're like, what? I'm so confused. Just hang on to it because we're going to keep practicing with these planes. Okay. All right, let's go to collinear. Are N and G collinear? What about NGK? Okay, you got that one. Let's keep going with the vocab. Okay, same thing on this one. Oh my gosh, I almost want to just throw it away so you guys don't try to write this. I am going to. We already practiced. Line segment. Draw yourself a piece of the line. Make sure it has endpoints. We'll call it L and S for line segment. And then the notation would be LS with a little piece of a line above it. Doesn't have any arrows because line segments are just a chunk of a line that stops. Okay, next one is ray, right? Ray and initial point. All right. So this is the one Maddie did for us on the warm-up. So let's do this together. So the initial point is where it starts from. So here's our initial point. Goes forever in one direction. I'm going to call this I for initial point. And how about C? Don't forget your notation. So notation, we would put I right next to C, line above it. Guys, for my example on the board, where would the arrow go? Above the I or the C? Perfect. It goes above the C because that's where it's going forever. That direction it's going forever. Okay. All right, what's our next vocab word? Opposite rays. Okay, I'm going to use this to describe opposite rays. Are you ready? Opposite rays literally go in the opposite direction. So we've got a ray right here going this direction. Are you watching? What if I just made this into a line? And I put a J right here. So IC is one ray going to the right. IJ is one ray going to the left. Do you agree those are opposite rays? Okay, so feel free to copy that on your notes. I'll add a little more detail to this. So opposite rays, if it asks you to describe them, you can just say IJ is a ray, but that's tricky because it's going past the J, so my arrow has to go there. IJ and IC are above the C. Those are opposite rays. They literally go in the opposite direction. The great thing about opposite rays is they always have the same initial point. So in this example, they both have the initial point of I. They start in the same point, they start in the same spot, and then they go opposite directions. Yeah. Okay, the last two, I feel like you can fill those out yourself. Intersect, intersection. Draw yourself a picture. Guys, with your arms, make an X. Cha-ching, there you go. There's an example of an intersection. Maybe draw 2 lines that intersect each other. Okay, intersect is focused on the point where they cross. Intersection is like the whole picture of it. Go for it. Whatever you know about intersect, intersection, write it. You've got it. This back up on the board if you pause it and get these down. Don't stress yourself out. We know what these are already. Right here, letter A, we've got to name 3 points that are collinear. Make sure they are definitely on the same line. And then 3 points that are coplanar, 4 points that are non-coplanar. Okay, go. I'm going to watch the clock. Try these on your own. This picture. How are we doing, guys? Do you have 3 points that are collinear from this picture? How many of you, I think I have 3. How many of you, I think I got it? Do you think you found it? Jaden, do you mind telling us? What did you get? D and C definitely are collinear. We need one more of D and C. Can you see on there? Yeah, Kelsey. Yeah, it totally is A. D, C, and A are collinear, and this is how you would answer this question, just 3 capital letters. Right here. Here's D, A, and see. Guys, raise your hand. How many of you got that? Okay, good. Be confident. Be proud of yourselves. You did just fine. All right, 3 points that are coplanar. There's lots of different options for this one. Anybody willing to share what they got for the coplanar one? Okay, Chelsea. Or excuse me, not Chelsea. Olivia. Olivia, tell us about letter B. What'd you get? B, C, and D? Totally. I absolutely agree that those are coplanar. They're all on that shaded plane, right? Okay. Guys, what I need you to do next is hold up 3 fingers with one hand. Wiggle them. Hold up one appropriate finger with the other one. Here's the thing about non-coplanar points. These 3, wiggle them, could all be on the same plane. But if you have one that's not, it makes the whole thing non-coplanar. You gotta keep that in mind. So if these 3 are, but this one isn't, and you put them all together, the whole thing is non-coplanar. So can we take Olivia's B, C, and D? So even though those are on the same plane, can we throw in 1 point and make the whole thing non-coplanar? Callie, you're in my mind. What are you thinking? E, totally. Those 4 wouldn't fit on the same plane. And we could not catch it with one piece of paper going up and down. All right, let's keep going. I think the next question. Oh, how did I do that? All right. Okay. These box questions are so popular, they're famous. There's tons of answers. Wherever you see non-collinear points, write down. Okay, number 1, I'm going to put someone on the spot. Are you ready? So number 1, give me 3 points that are not collinear. Everybody ready? Okay, Zach, will you tell me what you put for this one? A, H, and F. I totally agree with you. A and H, we could catch it like this, but you can't go backwards and catch F. Good job. Those are absolutely not collinear. All right, number 2 is specific. Number 2 says start with A, keep in mind D, and E. Guys, shout it out. What's the point that makes that a plane? Perfect. Good job, good job. Okay, the next really popular question. But don't they already have the points for you on your notes? Okay, is A bottom left? Like this? And then like B like this? C, is that close enough? Okay, can you do this yourself? So this they tell you just with notation. Do you know what that notation means? Can you connect it? Go for it, go for it. Draw these pictures just with what you know with notation. Okay, stop where you're at, check the board, raise your hand if you pretty much got the same picture. Yeah, pretty much? Check it. How many of you, by raising your hand, stopped? A, B, it stops. Let me see, how many of you stopped there? Okay, how many of you went past C on this one? Did you catch that? Good job. How many of you went past C and E on this one? Good job. How many of you passed up A on this one? Yeah? And then last one, did you cut through and does it pass D? Guys, good job. Way to figure out that notation. Okay, flip the page. Oh yeah, opposite ray practice. Guys, go for it, go for it. I feel like you picked this up super fast. I'll do an example on the board, but try to do your own on your notes. Okay, here we go. So here's my example. But will you look at what I wrote on the board? What am I missing on the board for my final answer? I've got opposite rays, I've got OD and OG. Caitlin, what am I missing? Perfect. She said the little ray sign above the letters, the notation. So on this one, Caitlin, I'm going to keep you on the spot. Does my notation, my arrow need to go above the O or the D? Perfect, Caitlin. Good job. Okay, class. On this one, does it go above the O or the G? The G. Okay, give me a thumbs up, opposite rays. I got that concept down. You okay with the opposite rays? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, sketch 2 lines that do not intersect. Guys, shout out a vocab word for that. If 2 lines never intersect, what kind of lines are they? You can shout it out. Good job. Okay, draw your parallel lines. I'm going to teach you another geometry concept that we won't really get into till later. Some more notation. So you got your parallel lines. All right, if we measure those, they're probably not parallel. So if you just sketch parallel lines, the symbol on the line for parallel, little arrows, add that on. So if you ever see those symbols, that means parallel. We'll get way into that later on. Okay, so now we've got to put a line up there that goes through those 2 lines. You ready? I think you've already got it. Check. There it goes. Intersected both those lines. Okay, maybe one more example. Okay, number 3, Guys, that's another notation. How many of you thumbs up? You okay if we skip over that? Seems like you rocked the other one. Okay, this next one, let's do practice this because it's those dang planes. Okay, are you ready? So it says sketch two planes that do not intersect. Stop. What's the vocab word for planes that would never intersect each other? Those are also parallel. Okay, so you got to stretch your head. So we've got to draw the ceiling and the floor. Those should never intersect, right? So I'm just going to draw a rectangle, pretend ceiling, and the floor below it, pretend floor. So we're pretending those are planes that will never intersect. It's kind of hard because we had 2D, it'd be a lot easier. Okay, now a line that intersects each plane in a point. Okay, so we've got our floor, we have our ceiling. That would be like a pipe coming through. So here's how I'm going to draw it. Cross your fingers. I'm not the best artist. So I'm going to pretend here comes my line from above us, Miss Hall's class, right there, and then it's underneath. And then now it's in our classroom, goes through the floor. I don't know who's below me. I have dots for the underneath part. So again, if you need a visual of it, floor ceiling is like a pipe coming through. Thumbs up, how many? I think I kind of understand that. You okay? All right.